I just want to say this is my first time at SSG, like the store or an SSG event. Flying out here for this, I loved every second of it. Not only do you have a great group here, a really wonderful staff, and this community here makes you feel really welcome when you're playing in these events or commentating these events. But this particular one is for charity. And then if you come to these events, not only are you playing in the main event, but as you pointed out, you have these Blossom Pods, you have other side events going on that you can play in. So it's a really fun day. So if you're within driving distance or even, a short flight to Fort Lauderdale and you're looking at one of these events and you're thinking about it and you're on the cusp, should do it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, just do it. I want to meet everybody who can do it. We'd love to see you. Come on out. It is a fantastic time every single time we get a chance to do this. And Liam, thank you for coming. I mean, you took time away from your family. You got so much going on, and you decided that you wanted to come over here and hang out primarily with me, not so much Skinner, but you decided you wanted to come hang out with me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, don't nobody tell him we said that, but no, I appreciate it. This has been on my radar for a while, and huge shout out to Aaron for solo parenting it this weekend.
Our hero,
hero of the battle.
She is such a hero.
She is the only reason that the channel exists, honestly. So thanks for allowing me to break away and do this and hang out with all of you here on a Saturday night watching some amazing Lorcana.
Yeah, no offense, but next time you stay home and she shows up.
That's fair. Okay, that's cool. Totally fair. I know that this was just a ploy to get this out of the way so you could bring in the real MVP. So no, Aaron's fantastic,
and we're seeing look at all that love. We were seeing all that love in the chat. We love it. Yeah, this is such a good community. Oh, and by the way, Liam got to eat pastelitos. That's a South Florida. Yes. Yep.
I did. Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
I need to come back.
I'm telling you.
I need to come back. Great food out here. Great weather. I didn't go outside from like 9 until 7 p.m. So I have no idea what I missed in the middle of the day. But all indications I have are the weather's delightful.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little warm, but other than that, we are seeing the altar phase take place here. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. So we do see that Sal is running, and what we've seen already, Sal has been on stream already. Ooh. And we know that Sal's running, what we call kind of colloquially the Kiwi deck. Like, we know that because we see the Alice's and we see kind of the mid-range style here.
So look, we are heavy altering. You know what we're looking for? We are looking for a bell.
We are looking for a bell.
We are looking for a bell. I forget. I should have looked at the bracket. Who is the top cut here, or the top seed here?
Here, let's do it.
I had the paper.
This is like best production crew ever.
Yeah, Sal. So Sal's the third seed. Okay, so huge, very important here. In this matchup, the play versus the draw. Sal's the third seed, so we'll get the choice. Perfect. And I'm assuming he's going to choose to play first. So in this opening, looking for that bell is super important because, again, one of the keys for victory for this deck on Carson's side is establishing the Diablo early. But it's so tricky into a deck that can play that bell and then sing very quickly, let the Storm Rage on to remove it. And I didn't see if we're running hidden. We are running Hidden Coves, so that is available to protect the bell. So, the Diablo. So, the opening very key here. I did not see whether Sal hit that bell in the opening, but only kept the Smee for turn 2, altered away everything else, and I assume that is really keen to find that bell.
Yeah, it certainly. I mean, it is the thing to do. I mean, it is the single most unfair, quote unquote, thing you can do. And I want to describe that phrase because many people don't quite understand that. But when I say that it's unfair, what I mean is the card is meant to be played on turn 3, or at least when you have 3 ink. But there's a mechanism that allows you to play it earlier. So when you hear that term in gaming, it just means that the card can be played earlier than it's supposed to, usually through some card design. And it does that a lot. It has the ability to do that a few times through a few different ways. Some decks utilize cards like Bell and Scrooge to do that a few times throughout. And then you also have the ramp mechanism, which is essentially playing more ink per turn than you probably should be allowed to, than the rules would normally allow without additional help from cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Carson sure says I'm in Florida. Chat is on fire tonight. 2 bells, no items. Somebody's pointing out, getting a look at the hand there. I usually find that when that happens, the player draws, although we are in the play, so we won't draw turn 1. So, so not the ideal opening here necessarily for Sal. Establishing that bell is super important early, basically to sing those 3-cost songs to remove the Diablo. We'll see if Carson has that line available.
Yeah, and so when we saw Sal last, we know that we saw Miss Bianca. Sal did get to play Miss Bianca. There is still some surprises that we didn't get to see yet. You know, that could present some issues. And again, I'll wait till we see them. I don't want to spoil any surprises here.
Yeah, I do love surprises.
Yeah, last time, here's some inside scoop, Liam. The last time that I spoiled a lot of somebody's deck, they got really mad at me. They were not happy with me.
Okay.
So don't do it. They get really upset.
Yeah, definitely not good in open play. Once we get the top cut, a little less. Oh, but look, there it is. You don't have to talk about it anymore. So take a look at the hand here.
Oh,
fun little tech card from this set. We have Bagheera, which is legendary from set 7. We see in the opening hand.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a little bit of a debate as to whether or not a card like Grab Your Sword is good. Is it worth it in this meta, given how control heavy it is? And Bagheera, I think, is a happy medium. Bagheera is a character you can play. It can quest for 2. It has 4 attack, and if it can be, it's also a bodyguard. And if the opponent is able to, or if the opponent does banish it on their turn, it acts as a Grab Your Sword. It'll deal 2 damage to everybody on the opponent's side. It becomes really tricky. It's a very tricky bodyguard to work with. If you thought Pluto was bad, Bagheera is certainly way more dangerous.
So in here, so we are going to shift the Diablo in here. And let's see what we do. Now, we discarded the friends to do it, and we're going to... That's another friends. We have to look through the sleeves here. So I was going to say, a bummer to discard the friends, which you could sing immediately, but we're going to sing another friend. So a great sequence here that's available, you know, in this Emerald Amethyst build. You know, when you shift a card, you're wasting resources, and if that's removed, you're losing 2 cards off the board.
Yes.
But when you can immediately sing friends and replace those 2 cards in your hand, it doesn't feel quite as bad. So
absolutely,
maintaining card advantage here and establishing that Diablo is huge. And of course, we get another one off the draw. And now Diablo's exerted. We're playing the Fortisphere. That's going to trigger again and get another card for Carson here. I think Sal maybe just thinking that through here.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like what Sal was looking for was a very magical word called may. And deciding it, but ultimately, and decided may not.
Yeah, maybe not. It's a very fair point. So taking a look at that and choosing not to, banishing that, getting the bell in play. And then the Bagheera that we raved about will go into the Inkwell at this point in the game. And 2 ink or 2 lore
and
for the
we
Smee
there we go. So we see the end of the turn comes for Sal, which means that the bumbling mate, who does not have a captain to keep them safe, takes 1 damage.
Belle is a lot of things. She's not a captain.
She is not a captain. Nope.
But crucially, that Diablo is sticking around here, and you know, the impact of this Diablo, I can't overstate it, because not only is it netting Carson cards every turn, but that Fortisphere, I mean, that's card advantage that Sal is foregoing.
Yeah.
That extra card could be huge, especially when you're on the play and you're burning through resources because you don't have that first turn draw. That is a card he could have drawn and chose not to. So Diablo impacting both players' hand sizes in a very real way. And another one coming down here, not quite as shiny.
No, but just as important.
Just as important. Establishing 1 Diablo, huge. Establishing 2 Diablos. Now, you know, Sal wanted to draw into some sort of targeted removal to get rid of that Diablo.
Yeah.
We'll have to answer 2 of them, and we didn't get it.
No, we got a pair of bells in our hand right now. And you know, I think of card games like poker, and what's interesting about games like that is that they usually put like a statistic, like they put like a percentage of how you're likely to win. And every time that Diablo nets you another card, that percentage goes up. I don't know what the number is, but that percentage goes up.
Certainly higher.
Yeah.
And Smee taking another damage, questing a little bit. I think, you know, Sal's calculation is here. Look, my opponent is getting huge card advantage. Inevitability is now with my opponent if this game goes long. So I need to force my opponent in the beatdown role.
Yes.
Put Carson in a position where he wants to challenge with Diablos. Like, build my lore total up so high that Carson has to answer my threats. Because that's really the only way that Sal, unless he draws very, very well here in the next few turns, is going to stick in this game.
Yeah, and has set my heart, a card that has recently made its way into this build in response to the many items that are being played across the 2 most prevalent decks in the meta. So no surprise here. Although this isn't the worst matchup for this card, but opting to ink it anyway because there are better options like this Genie that continues to net additional hand advantage, more cards to the hand. Okay, and now we've got 2 Diablos live. They are live and ready for the party. Looks like there's a little bit of conferring there.
Yep, establishing the Genie on the board, not terrible right now at all. We do have a Let the Storm Rage on in hand, so that is available to remove one of the Diablos. Let's see if we sing it here. I'm interested when it was drawn last turn, but we're going to choose that, target that. There's discussion going on, because the discussion is, hey, do I draw from this Diablo? And the answer is no. It looks like we'll draw from the other Diablo, and just get that one card off the card draw there.
Yeah. All right, we see
the
Pluto in bodyguard mode.
And Pluto, a great card paired with the Alice. We see that quite a bit in these builds, where Pluto will sit there, protect everything, and then also gain ward from Alice. I think that was the call here, foregoing the extra lore. Yeah, seems to be. So Pluto there sitting there 5/5 in bodyguard with ward.
And the chat is correct, by the way, because the action occurs while Diablo is in play. Carson is actually able to draw a second card.
Yeah,
if he chose
did
to.
he get the second? Because I didn't see him draw it.
I believe I saw one card drawn, but ultimately that would be considered a missed trigger. It is not a forced effect, so there's no going back and not doing that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so it was interesting there, because I thought I saw him comparing with the judge. So and yeah, the chat going nuts, right? Because this has been a discussion since that card was revealed, right?
Lorcana.
But yeah, so interesting. So I'm wondering if there was a conference there, what the decision was. But in any case,
yep, we don't know.
One draw card off the two Diablos there, and we'll move on. Yep.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have the ability to hear what's over there. So unfortunately, we don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, but certainly, why wouldn't you draw if you could, in this scenario?
Well, I mean,
I guess there are reasons.
Maybe you don't want to get milled.
I suppose.
What if there's a wheel waiting for you? What if there's a whole new world waiting for you at the other end of this?
That's fair. All right, back down.
Anyway.
So Seven Doors Mine coming out here, establishing a location on the board. Interesting play here. Probably used. Oh, there we go. Pluto's going to go in. We're going to do 1 damage to the Diablo. Put a 1 turn clock on that.
Yeah. And so we see some thinking about the play line. Okay.
Here we go. Give an extra lore to the Pluto. Pluto will quest for 2. And here is exactly what we talked about, like pushing the lore total high enough that now it really forces Carson into that beatdown role. Carson, I mean, with huge hand advantage. Board is decent, but really forced to think about removing stuff on the other side of the board now. And Seven Doors Mine represents a decent number of willpower to deal with. There's just a lot over there, and that Pluto sitting there is a 5/5. We're gonna have to run a couple things into it. And the ward, I mean, the ward looms pretty large here. One of the answers here, and I think he has it in his hand, is we don't talk about Bruno, which could bounce the Pluto back to hand and open up the Bell and the Alice for challenges, but that ward being used to great effect here.
Yeah, no, I believe that the Alice chose the Pluto, so the Pluto also has ward, so it wouldn't be able to be a target for that Bruno.
Right? Did I not say that? I'm sorry. Did I say that wrong?
Well, I think I knew what you meant, but I just the chat gets crazy sometimes.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I meant. Protecting that Pluto, because that's really the line here. If you can, it's playing the Bruno and bouncing that Pluto.
Yeah.
But not available here.
Okay, all right. And Carson slowly deciding that that we need to deal with it. And the Cricky is huge. The Cricky again, we're seeing a Cricky making a huge effect on the game. And would you look at that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden there is no board.
What we're sitting here, we're like, what is the answer? Well, the answer is along Bruno and the ward and all that, and boom, Cricky comes down again. To give, this is the second game I think in a number of series where we've seen Cricky do some serious work and just solve really difficult board states. Coming down, I don't know if that was a top deck or not, but drawn at the exact right time. That's what Cricky is in this deck for.
That's precisely.
My goodness.
Yeah, it is here. It is effectively just a form of a way to deal with the board. We can call it a board wipe if we want. It's a little bit more managed because it can affect your own characters, but it solves problems. Speaking of problems, we got a mine. We got to figure out how to knock down and just fill up, not to be there anymore.
There we'll do it.
It is taking damage. Yep, that's the way.
Cricky challenged into the mine, then he came back, and then he challenged again.
Oh my goodness!
So clearing off that mine, and then the Queen coming out for good measure. We'll do some work next turn to gain some lore, and probably clear some recurable items out of that that discard pile there.
Oh yeah, you got to think about that Tamatoa. But instead of that Tamatoa, let's think about that Wendy Darling. Again, we've talked about this card already. We got a support character that's got more, 2 questing, and it's a 3-1,
3-1.
yeah. So when you quest with that Wendy Darling, you give that 3 strength to another character. That's a big deal.
Well, but the bigger problem here, that the support is huge, but the bigger problem here is the ward.
Yeah.
Because Sal is sitting here with 15 lore. Every lore matters.
Yeah.
And Wendy being able to quest for 2 here and get that much closer to victory is a big deal. So Carson not able to do anything about it, with any sort of target removal.
Yeah. And of note, so that queen is being used for maximum effect, because you want to take a wild guess what Belle is?
Belle is a princess.
She is a princess. And so that is going to net Carson 4 lore for the use of that queen. Yeah. And look at that, how close we are now. We're within distance of each other, such short distance. Carson can take this game back from what appeared to be. And I mean, I believed in Carson, but this chat didn't. Okay, but I totally believed in Carson. All you all talking about team underdog. I saw you. I saw what you said.
Wow.
We're watching it. Oh, yep.
And that's gonna be it. Cricky.
Cricky is a hero to all. Forget about Maui. Cricky is the hero to all.
What a lucky bug, as they say. My goodness, that yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like a lot of you. I really felt that Sal had it not in hand, definitely, but was solidly in control of things. Had a decent board state. That Pluto with Ward sitting in the mine was a big deal and a lot to deal with. And the answer is you challenge into it. How do you do that efficiently? You give something +3 strength and allow it to run in and do work, and then for good measure you clear everything else out. So Cricky is the boss. We love Cricky, that little cricket. Oh my goodness, that was awesome. Now will Cricket have the same effect now that our friend is aware that is in the deck? I don't know, but here, I mean, probably. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I'm maybe so now we can play around it. I don't know, but what a card. There's only 2 of in this deck, and having it at the right moment. I'm thinking through now. What a powerful thing to steal a game on the draw in the top cut here against a deck that I think you're not necessarily favored into. Steel is traditionally a pretty rough matchup for this color combo. It is. Especially, I think, this mid-range variant. But stealing a game here on the draw is pretty huge. Yeah. And now you feel pretty good going into this match. You're on the draw again. Maybe you steal another one. But if you don't, you're on the play. Yeah. And getting to establish a Diablo on the play, I don't know. It feels really good. So yeah, you can see it too. Like the shoulders are a little bit higher than they were before. There's a little bit more of a relaxed feeling for Carson. And I think it's exactly what you described. 1 game down, 1 more to go, and the same way you described it too. Even if I lose this one, because I've said this to myself, even if I lose this one, I've got 1 more shot, and it'll be on the play. On the play. So I did see. I was taking a look at the hand. I did see the bell, which I mean, the turn 1 bell, or the early game bell, cannot be overstated in terms of its importance in this matchup. But I did see the bell. I don't see if we got an item to pair with it. Pretty high likelihood. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Sal would like to think that they'll have it, and we'll find out in just a moment, because this will be the first thing that they do, and the sportsmanship, we love it. I don't think. Oh no, I don't think I see. I think I see a popsicle. Well, let's see. There it is. Yep. So that we will start with the golden first turn. That delicious popsicle. Steel. Yep. Belle gobbling it down, and there she is. Belle loves popsicles. This is fantastic. And in this instance, Belle's value is not necessarily in her board presence. It's in terms of her ability to sing 3-cost songs. Absolutely. Yeah, the gaining lore is secondary to just the amount of pressure and the way that it forces you to play to these first few very important turns. The characters that you put down, the ability for them to just get taken out just for putting them down, and you can't afford that so early in the game. Well, and I want to look over here. I'm trying to get a look at Carson's hand. If I'm looking at it right, there's 2 or 3 Diablos and Sudden Chills look very similar, especially with those very sleeves. Green in the image. Yeah, I guess it's only 1 Diablo. And a couple of genies, so ink may become a concern here. Yeah. We did establish that Diablo, and sometimes you choose to forego that turn 1 play if it's targetable by Let the Storm Rage On, but we didn't have that. Instead, that Diablo is going to stick around and be a shift target, perhaps tempting out the Floodborn if because I can't see if it's available. And we're going to get a good look, though, and no, it is not available there. We do have that Bagheera, a Doc, a Wendy. Yeah. and light.
Yeah, and some light.
And some light.
Is a card called light, and we'll figure that out in just a moment. As they pick it up, we should be able to see them.
Yeah,
but there's a song here, because why else would Carson be thinking about it? Unless Carson, no, I take it back. It's just memorizing cards, doing a good player thing.
Well, and it's an interesting. I mean, the Amethyst Diablo is a great card in this matchup because if it's removed by Storm, you get to replace it and you don't lose a card. That you don't get to replace with the Emerald Diablo. But the cost of not being able to see the hand on turn 1, you usually like to pair that with the Ursula, because then you know whether or not the Ursula is going to give you any value or not. At times, it's your only play, and for sure in a deck like this where you're playing the Sudden Chill that you can sing on turn 2, it's still a good play. But yeah, no targets there for that Ursula this time.
And we see, we do see some questing happening with an Alice on the board. And we know the Bumbling Mate needs to encounter some steps by taking some damage.
Yeah, and this deck, Sal, again, if Sal can force Carson into the control role and just be the beatdown, that's where he wants to be, forcing Carson to respond. But establishing this Prince John here, there it is.
I had a feeling.
Prince John, Ursula singing Sudden Chill, so that'll be a 2-card swing.
Yep.
1 card getting discarded there. It'll be the dock, and then a card drawn. We do have some removal there. I think that removal is probably kept more for the danger of Diablo shifting in.
Yeah. If you use that song on the Diablo in its current form, that's going to net Carson another card. If you wait for the evasive Diablo to come down, you get a lot more value from it. And we do see 2 of them, and you got Carson. It's going to be super obvious that Carson's running 4 of them. So holding on to it, letting that Diablo just kind of survive as it needs to, is the right call here.
So the Bell going in and challenging.
Oh yeah, we see Alice choosing Smee, which gives it Smee an additional lore and ward.
So 3 lore there. He will bumble around again and damage himself.
And this is the way that Sal envisioned last game was going to go, and it didn't go that way. And then we saw just a quick turnaround with that Cricky. Can Carson turn this around again? I guess we'll find out.
We may. I mean, we're 2 turns away from the Cricky, unfortunately. So if we can deal with 1 or 2 characters on the board, keep things under control, we are going to shift the Diablo here. Friends from the other side discarded there, and 4-cost Genie. So that's some board presence. We'll draw a card off the Genie. Let's see if we drew any songs we're going to play. No, we're going to quest with the Diablo, put that online.
Yep.
And back over. Now, so there were options here to clean up that Smee, perhaps prevent a little bit of lore gain. You would lose the Prince John or you'd lose the Prince John. But instead, there's that Storm Rage on. It's going to remove that Diablo. That feels bad, but we are getting a card.
So
we are getting a card this time.
So for all of you that question it, there you go. Carson,
there we go. We got the card off the Storm Rage on. So it happened this time. So there we go. McDuckmen are coming down. Brutal, almost backbreaking.
That's backbreaking. 100% backbreaking. And singing of, we're getting rid of that Genie. We have just enough characters to do it.
Yep, that is going to be a challenge here to come back from this. There's just a lot of lore on the board. We're going to go up fairly high. And that McDuck Manor, without establishing the Fox and the Crab and spending a whole turn dealing with it, there's just not a lot of good answers for that location. And Smee doing maximum work here, not only gaining, I think a total of 7 lore or 8 lore when paired with that Alice. I didn't see who Alice chose that turn, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, you're not kidding. A lot of work is putting it lightly. We're at 13 lore. We got a McDuck Manor and a single Prince John to do anything about all that stuff that is on that is sitting on south side of the board. Even a Cricky is not going to be able to pull Carson out of this hole right now.
No, this is tough. So I think Carson looking here, taking a look at the lower total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's game on board.
It is.
We can maybe answer something, and then there's always the question of, do you play this out and see more of your opponent's deck, or do you take the old scoop route and it looks like we're going to go that way, and move on to a game 3,
which we love. We love a game 3. Sorry, unfortunately you had to see that our Emerald Amethyst player suffer defeat. I know you were rooting for them, even though you all didn't believe in him in game 1. I'm watching you all, but I know that you all are rooting for him. Now, what I'm rooting for is just great gameplay. I'm rooting for top level gameplay. I love seeing all the stuff that's happening right now, and we're gonna watch as both of these players try to figure out who gets to move on, who gets to move into that top 4 spot. And can it be done? Can Carson figure this out and close the deal and get moved on to the next stage here? We'll see. I mean, I see the odds are in his favor.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup, should be sure. I think it's challenging going into it overall as a match, but it's certainly more favored on the play.
Yeah.
And so I think if he plays this right, definitely can pull this out. But the opening is so huge, in both of these decks. Each one looking for certain key combos, certain key cards on as every deck is. But but it's very hard if you don't get the right opening your opponent does to survive this matchup with Diablo lurking around and. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And we are beginning our altar. We already see a Popsicle and a Bell. The first 2 cards drawn was Popsicle, Bell, and a Fortisphere, just in case you don't like the Popsicle.
Just for good measure. Yeah. What's your flavor? You want like gray? You want blue today?
Do you want to sit on this rock, or would you like to eat a Popsicle?
Yeah, we do have a couple docks there. It's always awkward having 2 in hand. I'm sure we'll send one, if not both, away. But yeah, definitely looking at the right opening here. Now, he'd love to draw into a song. He'd love to draw into the removal he needs to deal with that Diablo right off the bat. But for sure, keeping turn 1 Bell Popsicle here. We do have the Lawrence for turn 3. It looks like he may hang on to. And then the dock to refresh the hand. So yeah, only sending a couple cards there and drawing the storm.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, we call that in the TCG world a god hand.
Man, he drew right into the removal. It's like, what does he need? Well, he needs this, and he needs this, and he needs this, and there they all are. So yeah, unfortunately, Carson is going to be considering that Diablo opening again. It's not the only one. There's a lot of low cost cards in this deck, and it's possible to go 1 on turn 1, 2 on turn 2. That's Mo Shamlin's favorite line from Continentals.
Yes.
You can also go. There's other ways to go about building your board state, but for sure, that Diablo line is one. It's so tempting to pursue if you have it, but almost a trap when you're going to lose both cards. To let the Storm Rage on right off the bat.
Yeah, it's just so rough. I mean, it reminds me of Cinderella, playing against that singer Cinderella in Amber Steel so many sets ago. Just the ability to just control that board, and Bell doing it so well. And we may witness that here, depending on what Carson is putting Sal on. Does Carson think that Sal is running with the Bell, with the songs? Is he going to be brave enough? Is Carson going to be brave enough to throw something down that could potentially get knocked out, that could set him back a few turns if he's just losing cards or losing characters turn over turn? That could be very backbreaking as well. I guess we'll see how this pans out.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is going to be a lot of fun. And we see, all right. Yeah. So
turn 1 Diablo.
The Diablo just kind of revealing to Carson what exactly is
Carson.
waiting for him.
I mean, this is great though. Carson's
look at the look on Carson's face.
He's like, I see it. I see the cards. I see the opening. I know you have it, and so now can plan around it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Sometimes you're like, all right, do I pursue the shift line? Do I not pursue the shift line? And now he knows exactly what he has to play around. So I mean, the good thing for him is, I mean, there's a couple card draw items there, but you don't see like the Flavisham, or you don't see anything that will really propel in the mid game.
Yeah.
There's no strong turn 2 play besides dropping, another character, another item. We don't have like a Smee or something, more a Calhoun. So for sure, it's not the worst possible hand to see, but it's certainly not the best.
It's not the best, and it looks like Sal drew a bumbling mate Smee for that.
Oh, did he? Oh my goodness!
Because he didn't need more help.
Right. Well, that is a great turn 2 play.
Yeah.
Dropping a Bell on turn 1, Smee on turn 2. It's what these mid-range decks like to do. That's 6 strength and willpower on the board on turn 2. It's brutal.
Okay.
But knowing we have songs in hand, now we're going to take that Deceiver and we're going to pick which one we want here. Let's see what we choose.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an argument about which of those songs do you choose, and generally what you do is you look at the rest of the hand. If there is not enough ink, you might try to starve your opponent of ink, but in this case, we just want to deal with the efficient removal and make it less efficient.
Yeah, I'm generally exactly that, a Storm Rage on fan, unless there's ink pressure, in which case getting the Inkable out of the hand always feels good. But we're back another Popsicle here. Smee into the Inkwell. Okay, so we're not going to go the Smee route.
Okay.
We're going to exert the Smee and play a Happy.
Okay.
Yeah, Happy coming down. Happy, a card that is a Diablo counter. I'm actually not super surprised to see it.
I agree.
It not only does get a second character on board, so the Bell can now sing Strength of Raging Fire, but if for whatever reason Oh, there we go. We're not even going to worry about that. But if Diablo comes down, Happy has an answer to that. So we're going to get that second character to get rid of that shift line. Like I don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Get that out of there.
And if you do play it just by paying that 3 cost, then I'm gonna punish you for it by hitting it with this Happy when you get that one time the draw.
Yeah, but certainly. So hand size here. I'm looking over at Sal's hand down to 3.
I think in the ballpark of we do see 2 Alice's. We see that Mr. Smee. Yep, it looks like it is the 3. I mean, Alice, a fantastic card, has been putting in a little bit of work for Sal over the course of this tournament. We've seen it used effectively in the games earlier on. We see it used to some effect in this game as well.
So let's see which way we go here. Certainly, there are definitely some interesting lines available to Carson. Either going wide. Do you see the Cricky going into the Inkbo? Which is interesting because that's definitely one of the mid game answers here. But instead, we're play the crab. We're give Ursula a challenge. It is a favorable trade stats wise. Ursula has already done her work. It is a 2 cost for a 1 cost, but Ursula has done her job, gotten that card out of hand, and now we can get that 3 cost character out of the board. And now with that Smee going to the Inkbo instead of the board, Happy is not as threatening or intimidating as Smee would be.
Yeah, I mean, all Happy is at this point is just somebody for Alice to give a hug to and say, "Here's some lore. Here's one more lore and some ward," and to just try to start applying that lore pressure. But yeah, it's not a fantastic place to be. They're both in a pretty soft space when it comes to how they're managing their board. Both looking to find their footing, to find that place that their feet belong, to lock themselves in order to just move forward and win this game.
And now on the other side, I do see we drew into let the Storm Rage on, which is good. It's nice to have their removal, except it's uninkable, and I think we have 2 cards in hand. And so now we're gonna eat that popsicle, which can loom huge later. So now we may have an inkable problem because I'm not sure what that other card is. It might be another Alice, and if it is,
it's the second Alice that was sitting in the hand. So we got Alice and we got the Storm Rage on.
So we're sitting on 2 uninkables, which now we're gonna draw for turn, and then we can sing let the Storm Rage on for a little extra. For another card draw, but definitely the ink problem is starting to it could become a challenge here.
It is, and even worse if that Alice, if Sal decides to quest with that Alice, I mean Carson presenting the fox and saying, "I dare you. I'm going to take this Alice, and this fox is going to stay alive." Oh yeah, it's showing that second Alice. Does Sal quest with it? And Sal says, "Yep." No, Sal says no. Sal says I'll sing a song with it. There you go. To see a new card. Oh, and we see Pluto.
Ink. So we did draw the Pluto. That is inkable. I'm willing to bet we may. So we could hold on to it for next turn, perhaps hoping because Pluto would be great to establish here. So you could hold on to it, hope to establish it next turn, or it could become ink this turn to build your resource base. But it looks like we're going to save it. Hope to draw into an inkable. We're going to get next turn anyway. And certainly these mid-range steel decks can survive and even thrive on the 4 to 5 ink range. And so it's not. I think. An unusual decision.
Agree. Yeah, very much agreed. Now, what Sal did puts Carson in a position where that fox was originally going to be a very efficient trade, a very multiple clean trades into just one, just essentially a slightly unfair trade because Sal does loses that song, does gain a card draw though, and so it makes that math a little bit more muddy. And what we're seeing now is that Alice, we do know that. There is that other Alice, which is joining. So we've got Alice in stereo on the table right now.
3 Alices. We like to see cards in 4s today in these last few rounds.
Yeah.
So we're sure to see the 4th Alice later. But we did draw into another uninkable. We drew into Doc. And so I think Pluto was the ideal play that he would have liked to make that turn. We pair the Alice with the Pluto. It's a combo that these decks love, but instead holding on to that Dock, having to ink the Pluto, but we are setting up a 2 card draw with the Dock here next turn. So just like an awkward hand here for Sal in the mid game, just ink challenges, but Carson not able to fully take advantage of it yet. Just establishing higher cost cards on the board with that Genie, just not establishing the huge board presence or the wide board presence to kind of take advantage of this. And in the meantime, Sal pushing his lore up a couple each turn. Few each turn.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you that are curious, whenever we see a player just being very, very being restricted on their ink to their hands, you have to wonder, well, how many uninkables does this person have? And I'll tell you that Sal in the deck is sitting with 14 uninkable cards. So I would consider that a pretty average amount. I would say that Sal is primarily just drawing unlucky here.
Yeah, and you came back here, played again. It's another card we don't see terribly often, but Genie went into challenge Alice and came back and went into challenge again. So that's the second time we've seen that card used for one character double challenge something with higher willpower. Clean up the board a little bit. But at this point, Carson just needs to prevent significant lore gain. Hopefully Sal continues to feel some hand pressure, and then eventually he'll be able to dump a wide hand on the board, hopefully.
Okay, so no cards in hand. We play a dock. We see the mine, and we see
a happy,
yeah,
or another dock, actually.
Yeah, sorry, that's uninkable. That is a dock. Yep.
So not a terrible draw here. Anytime
It's
you can
not.
chain docks together, it's great. You do get the mine out, which pairs well with the happy. In this instance,
oh goodness,
interesting. So not enough ink. It looks like to slide that happy over, because that would have been enough to do 2 damage to the genie. So instead we have to challenge in.
Yep. That is interesting. Certainly,
you'd love to have the ink. I mean, if you have the ink for it, it's a really clean answer to slide over that knight immediately, but just not enough. And choosing instead and waiting till next turn to just clean up that genie right now.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing again both players in just a very unique spot here, trying to figure out where their placement is. Oh, here we go.
That is the Elsa.
That is Elsa.
For those having trouble seeing through the sleeves, Elsa can. Let's see. We could.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Exert the Alice. Do one there. There's other options here. Clean up the dock instead. But putting 2 on the Alice here because of all the work she can do. Although I'm not sure who the Alice gave ward to last. I wasn't paying attention if she quested and gave ward to somebody. That's on me. It's been a long day, so it's possible that happy wasn't an option, or that dock wasn't an option. So another dock coming down here after dumping the Calhoun on the board. We'll draw 2 new cards, chaining these docks together to great effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing just more characters being established over here on South Side, including a Bianca that entered the hand. We have to look and see. Oh yeah, Calhoun is as an ally, so that Bianca is effectively a cost of 4.
I do believe all the dwarves are as well. There's so many allies in this deck.
You would be very much correct. Yep, absolutely. They are also allies and knights. They're friendly knights.
Yeah, they are friendly knights. But yeah, really a corner has been turned here. It did feel like Carson had things well in hand with kind of the awkward hand position, but I think the key, stringing together, dock after dock, gave Sal a huge resource boost and just able to go wide here. Lucifer, a card that Carson would have loved to have a few turns ago, back when Sal was battling through those resource issues. But even though he manages to dump his hand here, there's just been a lot established out there.
Yeah.
So that genie is going to, or the Elsa is going to do a little bit of work, clean up that Alice. But that does leave 4 lore on the board.
Yeah, not a great place to be. I mean, that's gonna put a lot of pressure on Carson to try to figure out how do we figure this board out. We've got the mine and the 3 characters. The Calhoun potentially netting 2 lore instead of 1. So 2, 3, 4. You're looking at 5. That'll get us to 18, assuming that the characters are untouched by Carson on this turn.
All right, drew into a great card here.
Okay, that is not a bad card.
Back into Let Stormrage on, and into another dock. You've got to be, my goodness. With an empty hand, with 2 ink available, you draw into a dock, which will net you 2 cards. Look at those docks.
Yeah.
Like we said, everything's happening in 4s tonight. There's all the docks. You saw a smile on Carson's face as he looked over at everyone watching. He was like, "Can you believe this?"
Yeah.
The 3rd dock, and man, it is just.
That is
crazy.
wild.
That is, I mean, if
so lucky.
I went on and on for a while about how Sal's hand was awkward and he was drawing, uninkables and whatever, and then all of a sudden at the end here, just stringing together like the perfect set of draws. The storm into the dock, huge. Unfortunately, the People's Champion, Amethyst Emerald here is going to fist bump, and not just fist bump. Fist bump is for game wins. Handshake is for match wins.
Yeah.
Shakes Sal's hands and said, that was just too much for me. And unfortunately, our only non-Sapphire deck in the semifinal.